Let's get over to meteorologist Peyton Malone.
Thank you, Lily. Happy Sunday morning, everybody. We are waking up nice and quiet. It's a warm, humid morning, too. Already sitting in the low 80s in a couple spots. We're going to warm up today big time to the low 90s. It'll feel like the 100s. And I think there will be a couple of pop-up storms as we go throughout the afternoon. Look at this, though. Rain chances really become our bigger story starting tomorrow, especially Tuesday. And we have rain chances all the way into the end of this week here. I do have some weather impact alerts. I'm thinking Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday are going to be the primary days I want to watch out for a flood risk. Now, this is not going to be a rain where it's raining all day long all these days, but at times some slow-moving downpours could lead to some street flooding across our area. It is partly tied to what the National Hurricane Center is watching. This is a disturbance that's currently moved into Mexico, but it's going to lift north very slowly in the coming days, re-emerge out over the northern Gulf by around Tuesday into Wednesday, and then it'll have a low chance of trying to spin up into some low pressure. Now, regardless of this thing becoming anything more than low pressure, it's going to be a big rainmaker, and that slow movement right along the Texas coast could produce some significant rains somewhere in Texas, maybe into western parts of Louisiana. Now, as you get closer to New Orleans and South Mississippi, our rainfall threat, it's there, but I think we may miss at least the worst of this. There's still some questions on how this evolves, but that's what we're seeing right now. So our cool front's moving in and stalling out as we go through the beginning of the week. That's what's going to really fuel our rain chances. You could see some weak low pressure spinning off the Texas coast. That's why I think that flood risk is going to be much higher over off the Texas coast as we go through the early and middle parts of this week. Now, that risk for flooding is, well, partly tied to things not moving very quickly. And the reason for that, we've got a ridge of high pressure over us right now. So that's keeping this disturbance locked in at least for today. While we get into Monday and Tuesday, that low or that high pressure backs away, that will give an opportunity for this low to start to gradually lift north. So if something does form off the Texas coast, it's probably generally going to lift more north rather than come directly at us. That's thanks to this trough of low pressure coming down. Now, that flood risk, it's there, but I do think at the end of the day, the big time rains are probably going to be just west of us. So today, the flood risk is very, very minimal. Tomorrow, that flood risk starts to creep up. It'll be highest on Tuesday, more than likely for our area. And then on Wednesday, we'll still see at least a low chance for flooding. But you can see some elevated flood risk along the Texas coast through the middle and even the end of this week. So rainfall totals for us are probably going to be widespread 2 to 4 inches with isolated spots over 6 inches. But as you go further west, you can see some of these, you see where it's showing black there, that's maxing out my scale, over 10 inches of rain. So both of our big resolution models are showing some significant rains closer to Texas through the middle and end of this week. We will watch all this very closely for you. Again, we don't expect significant development of that low, but it's going to be a big rainmaker, probably just west of us. For us, our rain chances, they're elevated, but I think these are going to be more isolated flooding areas. So between tomorrow, Tuesday, and Wednesday, certainly street flooding is on the table. I still think we'll have some scattered storms around Thursday, Friday. We'll also make it a little breezier with that low pressure trying to form off the Texas coast. That'll be a more than likely southerly wind all week, so our humidity is going to stay elevated. One silver lining with rain in the forecast, it's not going to be nearly as hot. There on Tuesday, I only have the high at 84, Wednesday 87, and then with isolated storms heading into the weekend, we'll get closer and closer to 90.